William Shakespeare, known as the Bard of Avon, or simply the Immortal Bard, Shakespeare's impact on literature, theatre, and the English language is immeasurable. William Shakespeare was a renowned English poet, playwright, and actor born in 1564 in Stratford-upon-Avon. His birthday is most commonly celebrated on the 23rd of April. See when was Shakespeare born? Which is also believed to be the date he died in 1616. Shakespeare was a prolific writer during the Elizabethan and Jacobean ages of British theatre, sometimes called the English Renaissance or the early modern period. Shakespeare's plays are perhaps his most enduring legacy, but they are not all he wrote. Shakespeare's poems also remain popular to this day. Shakespeare's family life. Records survive relating to William Shakespeare's family that offer an understanding of the context of Shakespeare's early life and the lives of his family members. John Shakespeare married Mary Arden, and together they had 8 children. John and Mary lost 2 daughters as infants, so William became their eldest child. John Shakespeare worked as a glovemaker, but he also became an important figure in the town of Stratford by fulfilling civic positions. His elevated status meant that he was even more likely to have sent his children, including William, to the local grammar school. William Shakespeare would have lived with his family in their house on Henley Street until he turned 18. When he was 18, Shakespeare married Anne Hathaway, who was 26. It was a rushed marriage because Anne was already pregnant at the time of the ceremony. Together they had 3 children. Their first daughter, Susanna, was born 6 months after the wedding and was later followed by twins Hamnet and Judith. Hamnet died when he was just 11 years old. Shakespeare in London. Shakespeare's career jump started in London, but when did he go there? We know Shakespeare's twins were baptized in 1585, and that by 1592 his reputation was established in London, but the intervening years are considered a mystery. Scholars generally refer to these years as the lost years. During his time in London, Shakespeare's first printed works were published. They were 2 long poems, Venus and Adonis, 1593, and The Rape of Lucrece, 1594. He also became a founding member of the Lord Chamberlain's Men, a company of actors. Shakespeare was the company's regular dramatist, producing on average 2 plays a year, for almost 20 years. He remained with the company for the rest of his career, during which time it evolved into the King's Men under the patronage of King James I, from 1603. During his time in the company, Shakespeare wrote many of his most famous tragedies, such as King Lear and Macbeth, as well as great romances, like The Winter's Tale and The Tempest. Shakespeare's career. Altogether Shakespeare's works include 38 plays, 2 narrative poems, 154 sonnets, and a variety of other poems. No original manuscripts of Shakespeare's plays are known to exist today. It is actually thanks to a group of actors from Shakespeare's company that we have about half of the plays at all. They collected them for publication after Shakespeare died, preserving the plays. These writings were brought together in what is known as the First Folio. Folio refers to the size of the paper used. It contained 36 of his plays, but none of his poetry. Shakespeare's legacy is as rich and diverse as his work. His plays have spawned countless adaptations across multiple genres and cultures. His plays have had an enduring presence on stage and film. His writings have been compiled in various iterations of the complete works of William Shakespeare, which include all of his plays, sonnets, and other poems. William Shakespeare continues to be one of the most important literary figures of the English language. New Place, a home in Stratford-upon-Avon. Shakespeare's success in the London theatres made him considerably wealthy, and by 1597 he was able to purchase New Place, the largest house in the borough of Stratford-upon-Avon. Although his professional career was spent in London, he maintained close links with his native town. Recent archaeological evidence discovered on the site of Shakespeare's New Place shows that Shakespeare was only ever an intermittent lodger in London. This suggests he divided his time between Stratford and London, a 2- or 3-day commute. In his later years, he may have spent more time in Stratford-upon-Avon than scholars previously thought. On his father's death in 1601, William Shakespeare inherited the old family home in Henley Street, part of which was then leased to tenants. Further property investments in Stratford followed, including the purchase of 107 acres of land in 1602. Shakespeare died in Stratford-upon-Avon on 23 April 1616 at the age of 52. He is buried in the sanctuary of the parish church, Holy Trinity. Interest facts about William Shakespeare during his lifetime. William Shakespeare wrote around 37 plays for the theatre and over 150 poems. No one can say the exact number, because some of his work may have been lost over time, and some may have been written with the help of other people. William was born in Stratford-upon-Avon in 1564, during England's Tudor period. He was one of 8 children born to John Shakespeare, a well-to-do glovemaker and leatherworker, and his wife, Mary Arden, an heiress from a wealthy family. Very little is known about William Shakespeare's early years. In fact, his actual date of birth remains a mystery to this day. But it's believed he had a good upbringing, attended a good school and enjoyed playing outdoors a lot. In 1582, William married a farmer's daughter called Anne Hathaway. They had 3 children together, a daughter called Susanna, and twins, Judith and Hamnet. Come 1585, the mysterious William Shakespeare disappeared from records for around 7 years. Historians often refer to this part of the writer's life as the lost years. Then, in 1592 he suddenly turned up in London as an actor and playwright. But poor William didn't have it easy. His jealous rivals, known as the university wits, criticized and made fun of his work. One writer, named Robert Greene, referred to him as an upstart crow. William was part of a theatre company called Lord Chamberlain's Men, who regularly performed at a place called the Theatre. But after a dispute with the landlord, they took the building apart, rebuilt it across the river and named it the Globe. A large, open-air theatre, the Globe accommodated for people from all walks of life, meaning that anyone could watch a performance there. If you were poor, you could only afford tickets to the ground floor where there were no seats and you were exposed to the cold, wind and rain that came in through the open top. If you were rich, you could afford to sit in the higher level, covered galleries in a comfy seat, away from the smelly poor people below. Shakespeare's plays were immediately big hits. He wrote different kinds of plays, all of which could be divided into 3 categories. Tragedy, including Hamlet, Othello, King Lear and Romeo and Juliet. Comedy, including Twelfth Night and the Taming of the Shrew. History, including Henry IV, Henry V and Richard III. His plays made him very rich and famous. So much so, that by 1598, William owned houses in London and Stratford-upon-Avon. Shakespeare's plays had the royal seal of approval. Both Queen Elizabeth I and James VI of Scotland and I of England would often hire Shakespeare's company to come and perform at the royal court. Plays in Shakespeare's time were different to the ones we have today. There were no female actors, women's parts were played by men, and audiences could be very rowdy. They would shout, boo, and even throw food at the actors they didn't like. Towards the end of his life, William lived quietly back in his hometown of Stratford-upon-Avon. He died on 23 April 1616, aged 52, after falling ill. It's believed he may have died on his birthday, but without an official birth record, no one can be sure. Written on Shakespeare's gravestone in Holy Trinity Church, Stratford-upon-Avon, is a curse written by the famous wordsmith himself. It reads, "Good friend, for Jesus' sake forbear to dig the dust enclosed here. Blessed be the man that spares these stones. And cursed be he that moves my bones." Today, Shakespeare's work is studied in schools and universities around the world, and his stories are depicted on TV and in films. In 1997, the Modern Globe Theatre was opened in London. A reconstruction of the original, it's just a few hundred meters from where the original one once stood. Dear viewers, we have tried our best to provide you an informative video. Please comment that how did you find this video, because your opinion and comments are very important to us. If you like the video, please like and subscribe our channel so that you may be updated for our every informative video. Take care of your good self.